I feel like the speed limit should be raised. What do you think? Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my project that I worked on about comparing highway speeds in the USA. I thought this was fun and interesting to work with. I decided to use Tableau since I'm comparing states, and this was a lot of fun. This is also my first visualization in Tableau project I worked on. It was a lot of fun. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright guys, so this is my project that I worked on. My project is about comparing highway speed limits in the USA. I thought this would be fun to work with since I like learning about speed limits, also about comparing speed limits across the USA. I live in New Jersey, so the speed limit is a lot lower. It's only 65 miles per hour from where I live. And you can see from the picture, it says speed limit 85. So I'm definitely want to compare other states as well. So the software I used in this project are Excel, obviously, and Tableau this time. I decided to use Tableau since Tableau is a way for me to make and easily share interactive dashboards, maps, and graphs with my data. And basically it saves a lot of time instead of coding like using R, Python, SQL. I can save a lot of time. I can also connect data in lots of formats, including Excel and even Google Sheets. So that's the benefits of using Tableau. There's also Power BI too, which I learned too. I can also include that in my future videos about data analysis. So here's the data set. You can see this is the Excel spreadsheet CSV file. You see the US speed limits is the CSV file I use. You see the columns are states, all the 50 states down there. The speed limit. You see also Texas at the county. Also the speed limits too for each one of them. And on the next slide, you'll see that I excluded Texas and Minnesota since their states have their own speed limits by their counties. That's why I have Texas here. There's a lot of counties in Texas, 254 and 87 in Minnesota. But each county has their own specific speed limit. It's not the same everywhere like New Jersey. That's why I put a blank over here. And this is Tableau. I downloaded a free version of it using Tableau Public. You can use that if you didn't know. But you don't have to pay for anything. It's just a free trial. And you can also share your visualizations, which is great. Same for Power BI too. But over here, this is where I got the data set, and this shows all the information. It shows the data set. This shows tables. This is also geographic data when building maps. That's what the globe is. It basically looks at the whole view, and these are the fields as well. You can see columns, rows, longitude, and latitudes, and there's a show me, and there's also dimensions and measures too, which is listed right here, and it shows the marks as well, the color, size, label, detail, tool tips, and I filtered by state, so it shows the whole map, which I'll show in the next slide. So here's the output of my data visualization of the comparing speed limits in the USA. You can see there's the whole map of the USA. And what I found interesting is where I live is it's 65 here. In New York, it's also 65. Massachusetts, basically this whole area up here in North Atlantic, excluding Pennsylvania, but it's 65 miles per hour. I remember in Pennsylvania, it's when I was driving to places like Hershey Park, Dorney Park, the speed limit on 78 was 70 miles per hour. But when I entered New Jersey, it was still 65 miles per hour. But that's why they enforced that. I feel like drivers are going a lot faster, especially where I drive. When I go to work on 295 down south, I've seen people drive a lot faster, around 70, 75, 70 to 80 miles per hour at most. And I normally drive 65 miles per hour on the freeway, but I'm driving on the right side. Even on the right side of the highway, I've seen so many people or drivers pass me. Same also on Interstate 287 as well. I guess it just depends, but on 295 and 78 where I drive normally, cars tend to go a lot faster, around 70 to 80 miles per hour. But surprisingly up here, I found that in Maine it's 75. Unusual, that's an unusual speed. Basically, you can see up here it shows the color codes. See, I colored it in orange, so light orange to dark orange. And you can also see Hawaii and Alaska too. Hawaii has the lowest, in other words, the minimum speed limit, which is 60. Whereas in Texas, they have the highest speed limits. That's why I excluded these, since each of their speed limits is dependent on their counties. And you can also see that the majority of the states in the Midwest, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Idaho, Montana, you can see they're all 80 miles per hour. And then in Nebraska, they're higher compared to what's here in where I live. But the majority of the states here, Florida, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, they're all 70 miles per hour. So I feel like 70 miles per hour should be the speed limit. I feel like 65 is considered slow, in my opinion. Also, here, Washington, Oregon, and California, it's 70 miles per hour. And the reason why it's 60 miles per hour here is it depends on the location. Hawaii is a place where there's no... It's a small island, so that's why it's not like rural like Texas is. It's a small island where cars and drivers tend to go a lot slower around. It's for safety and precautions. And Alaska too, 65. It's a lot cooler up there. There can be a lot of winters and snowstorms. That's why it's a lot slower up there. And here's a visualization output for Minnesota. You can see each of its counties. It ranges between 60 to 70 miles per hour. And you can see that in Minneapolis, Minnesota, it's roughly 65. And if you didn't know, they also enforce a minimum speed limit. It's about 40 miles per hour. I remember going to Minneapolis and I saw the minimum speed limit was 40 miles per hour on the highway. Also, there's states including Connecticut, Florida, Hawaii, Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, Michigan, Ohio, Oklahoma. They have their own minimum speed limit. But in Hawaii, it's a lot slower. It's around roughly 35 to 45 miles per hour. And I didn't know this, but there's also nighttime speed limits too, where I checked Colorado and Florida enforce their nighttime speed limit due to safety on the roads, especially with the vision at night. It's basically for precaution and safety. They just want they don't want anyone driving too fast for the safety. They don't want anyone to get killed or no one to risk being in danger. But this shows a whole range, basically. And you can see down here it's 70 miles per hour. And up north it's 60, 65. So basically a whole variety of counties have their own speed limits, ranging from this. And here's for Texas too. This is the part where I've been also interested in talking about. You can see the speed limit ranges from 60 to 85 miles per hour. But the majority of the speed limits, based on their counties, is 75. You can see up here, up north of Texas, also down south, it's also 75. But you can look down here, a small majority of the counties, I think Austin's about right here, it's 85 miles per hour. Here's one question. I believe, will the speed limit increase to 90 or maybe 100 miles per hour? That's what I was assuming. Maybe, because it's one of the reasons is Texas is a rural area where the roads are long and straight, and that's why drivers are going a lot faster around there. And you can also see over here it's 80, 80, 85, and this small area right here is 60. Wonder why? Maybe they're enforcing, their counties want them to drive slower, depending on their locations. Here you can see also some areas are 70. But this is an interesting visualization. So it ranges, I don't see any 65s. But mostly it's 60, 70, 75, 80, and 85. But this is quite interesting to learn. And you can see there's a lot of counties. Yes, each of these counties is located with their numbers. So overall, I believe that certain states enforce different highway speed limits, varies depending on their locations. Where I live in New Jersey, the speed limit is 65 miles per hour. I've seen a lot of people, like I said, they drive a lot faster than what the actual speed limit is. And the majority of drivers tend to go a lot faster than the speed limits. That's because because drivers are pressured. They want to get to their place faster, and they just don't want to stick up with it, and they want to keep up with the traffic flow. And a final question I have is, should states increase their speed limits? I think there are benefits of raising the speed limits. One, it will help keep the traffic flow smoothly, like I said, and faster for drivers. There won't be as much traffic. However, this could eventually lead to an increase in the number of accidents on the roads. This could harm people's lives. A lot of people could get injured. They could die. That's what it is. It's definitely dangerous. But I feel like in Texas, they have the highest speed limits since Texas is an open state where the roads are long and straight. And also, one of the reasons is that there's also economical, cultural, and political factors. Since Texas is known for freedom and a large state, unlike other states, and an increase in speed limits could potentially increase economical productivity. So that could be great for drivers in Texas. So definitely, I believe that states should increase their speed limits. I believe in New Jersey, definitely they should increase their speed limits to 70 instead of 65. Same with New York too. I believe 70 miles per hour is a reasonable speed limit for drivers. It could, like I said, it could keep the flat traffic flow moving. And I feel like I'm feeling pressure as well. I've seen so many cars, even police cars and cop cars, pass by me, even though I'm driving 65 miles per hour on the freeway. Even though I'm obeying it and never got pulled over, I feel like this should be a way for drivers to stay safe. So thank you for viewing and enjoying my presentation about comparing highway speeds in the US. And you should follow my social media too as well. I will also upload more data visualizations using Tableau, and I'll eventually start one with Power BI. Also upload more SQL and a lot more. So hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.